What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we are covering F1 24 gameplay. Not just any gameplay, we are tackling the all-new driver career modes from Codemasters. We're going to run through the entire first season in this video to see how the secret meetings work, to flesh out all the new features with this game mode. So, you're in for a treat. This took me an absolute age to make. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as when the game fully releases later this month, we're going to be doing our own playthrough as one of the drivers, actually as myself really. But you can race as one of the drivers, you can race as an F2 driver, you can race as an old legend, and the choice is really up to you. Today, we're going to race as one of the drivers, one of the Ferraris to be exact. Let's go into it now. This is what you're greeted with when you go into the driver career. We're going to go for full season. On this occasion, yes, we are going to choose an official driver. And I really like that they've included the option to race as official drivers again. This is something that was... I think you could do back on F1 2015, but now you can flesh out or create your own stories with existing drivers and, you know, tailor your experience to how you like. So I really enjoy that. Here's some of the new legends, the icons in the game, including some esports drivers. We're going to race as Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. As we know, at this stage, at the time of recording, we don't know where Carlos Sainz is going for 2025. Maybe this video will be a preview as to where he ends up next year. Let's get into it. There's the performance index for all the teams. Let's do it.
Finally, let's do this for real. Sorry it took so long. You know what these legal types are like? Yes, sir. No, sir. Here's 80 pages of needless jargon, sir. Anyway, believe it or not, this is my excited face. Come on, let me show you what we've got. So, all the usual stuff, merchandising, likeness, blah, 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 but the really juicy stuff is their expectation of you. They need you to challenge yourself all season, be the best you can be, dominate your teammate, become a legend. All that jazz. Now, it's over to you.
Okay, here we are. It's contract time. The team are expecting you to improve as your career evolves. And so am I.
Our manager has some attitude to her, doesn't she? At least she's got some personality. But time to choose our starting or set target rating. The higher it is, the more bonuses, more perks we can get. But we have to meet that by the end of the season.
We're signed. We are on the Formula One grid for 2024. That sounds awesome to say.
I don't think that sounds awesome to say for Carlos. I think he's already pretty used to being on the grid, but as a new driver coming in, I'm sure that will be much more of an achievement. But yeah, a bit of a weird one there. Bit of an immersion breaker. We don't mind. It's fine. This is our new Vista. This is actually the home of the driver for Carlos. It looks like he's pretty minted. I would be interested to see, as a new driver coming in, whether the house is the same. I'm assuming it will be. But yeah, going back to the driver rating, that is so important where you set that going forward. Because if you set that too high and you don't meet the targets, you will lose your seat at the end of the season. And we have intentionally set it very high to see what happens when we maybe don't meet the targets. Because we're going to be simulating a lot of these races. I don't know if I've said already, but we're going to be simulating all but one race in this video. So I'll leave a timestamp to when we do actually get some driving gameplay. But for the time being, you might have seen on that screen, this is where we come to review our contract. If the targets are too high for us, we can review that. We can also break the contract. That'll mean that at the end of the season, if we've got a multi-year contract, we can be off contract at the end of the season. But there are ramifications to breaking your contract. You might lose some perks and a bit of recognition with the team. Here's the rivalry screen. You have a championship rivalry. That's based on, if someone near you in the standings. You'll also have a driver ratings rivalry. Someone who's got a very similar rating to you and you have to beat them. We'll see that later in the video. How the rivalries work with your teammate. You have to beat Charles Leclerc in the majority of those areas. If you're ahead by 3 or 4, then you're loving life. But yeah, it's a really nice metric, the whole driver ratings and recognition system. I think it's going to work really well. The driver upgrades, R&D, that hasn't changed at all really for F1 24. And the only thing on that really is that your teammate now can buy upgrades, but the upgrades that they buy, it works for both of us. So upgrades I buy goes on his car as well. It just means that I have a small pool of weekly resources coming in every week, and Charles Leclerc has a weekly pool of resources coming in every week that he can spend on. But I can say from my first week on the job with Ferrari, the first thing that Charles Leclerc went for was reliability upgrades. What an idiot. This guy does not have any experience when it comes to career mode. You never go for reliability upgrades at the start. You go for reliability when you've got nothing else to spend on. So as soon as I can, I'll be taking the license to upgrade R&D away from Charles Leclerc. So yeah, it's very important to get on top of your teammate. Not literally, but in the head-to-head rivalry, because you then have more control over the car and you'll have more perks and more upgrades to delve out. But yeah, we're heading into the first weekend of the season. This is a mandatory one. I couldn't skip over the first practice session. You do have to go through the cutscenes and everything, and introductory weekends. So what I did in this session is I retired straight away. But going forward, we will be simulating all of the Friday practice programs. Halfway through the season, I did stop doing that, and that had a dramatic effect on our earnings for resource points. There's the breakdown of where your experience goes. Practice is entirely for experience gain. Qualifying, you gain pace if you qualify well, and in the race, that's where you gain kind of all of the different pools of stats there. So that was qualifying. We skipped past qualifying, so we lost some pace, for example. And that is our first simulated weekend, 14th place on the grid. It didn't simulate qualifying for us. We had to skip over qualifying, so we started last. Ended outside the points. And that graphic right there, the teammate rivalry, annoys me so much, because when you see your teammates celebrating, it just, I don't know, it looks annoying. It makes me want to punch Charles Leclerc in the face. I've never had that temptation, that urge before. But now, with the rivalry breakdown, I want to punch Charles Leclerc in the face every week. Anyway, back home, Carlos is standing oddly by the screen all the time. This is our specialist screen. Achieve goals, choose your goals, beat the goals, you get experience and other driver rating boosts. We decided to qualify actually for Jeddah and then simulated the race. We ended up finishing behind our teammate again, and once again, clenching the fist very hard to stop myself from getting fired from Ferrari prematurely. Simulated Australia, 14th place. And after that disappointing results, we have our very first team meeting in F1 24 career modes. And it's Red Bull, of all teams, who are interested in signing me as a driver, Carlos Sainz. So we've been sandbagging for Ferrari, and Red Bull decide that they want a piece of the action. They want an underachieving number 2, even more so than Sergio Perez. But here, just a comparison of our performance versus their performance, best results, standings, position, etc. This is only an introductory talk. We express interest to continue talk, so we'll talk again in the future.
Been scouring the socials and asking around, and I'm delighted to say that the team are none the wiser about us chatting with anyone else. And the meeting went well, too. I know. I'm amazing. You're welcome.
So that went well then. I'm happy that we're still undercover. Ferrari are none the wiser. And if they did find out, we would have lost recognition and potentially lost some perks and standing within the team. So that went as well as it probably could have, to be honest. I can't believe that Red Bull of all teams are interested in signing us. So if we can get fired from Ferrari and go to a better team, that would be such a meme in this video. So make sure you stick around to see that. Anyway, we underachieved again in Japan. Still in the background, we're doing all the Friday practice programs. We're taking out our teammate now to try and wipe that smile off his face. Let's see if it worked. Very good. Very good. I guess one race isn't going to change things. I still needed to beat the guy. I still needed to get points. So Yeah, we're in the muds. Anyway, someone who's not in the mud, Lando Norris gets his first race win in Formula One, and it came sooner than in real life. Chinese Grand Prix, McLaren are already making big strides in the development race and actually getting results on track as well. I will say throughout this video, there were some really interesting race winners about in this one. We lost a lot of stats by DNFing and retiring early. We move on to Monaco, where I actually decided to qualify. Have a listen as well. Oh, nearly crashed. As we go close to the walls, the engine actually echoes. I think that's really cool. But anyway, we decided to go on an absolute charge and get pole position. Surely, as we simulate, we lose out to our teammate, of course, just as I expected. Charles Leclerc goes from P7 to P1 at Monaco. Somehow he's frauded that. So this career is absolutely in the toilet. I think at this point, I'm dedicated to go full-on meme with this and see if I can get fired. In this secret meeting, this is secret meeting number 2. This one was really interesting. They brought along 2 extra team members. One guy with a laptop, which said the current on-target developments with Red Bull. So they showed me the amount of upgrades that they got, the success rate of their upgrades, which I thought was super interesting. I really like this because I'm sure the likes of Lewis Hamilton before going to Mercedes had some insight into where Mercedes were going in terms of their development direction. So I really like that. Anyway, we move on to the halfway point of the season. Natalie and Anthony had a boring chat about driver movements and the pressure of driver moves and performing, etc. We now move on to our third driver secret meeting. And this time, Christian Horner shows up, which just shows the intent of the team and how serious these talks have got now. So this is the final secret meeting that you'll get. In this one, they give you the expectations, the hopes of where your recognition split will be with your future teammate. Unfortunately, it's 45%, so we won't get many perks, but we get to drive the best car.
They call it the Temple of Speed, and the pilgrims have come to worship. It's all about the speed today. Qualifying awaits it.
And here we go then. This is qualifying now for the Italian Grand Prix. I will say, after that last secret meeting, Ferrari found out about our meetings. So we did lose some recognition, some of our standing within the team. But in this round, we are going to do qualifying. We're going to do the race. We got invalidated on our lap, but it's fine. I want to do last the first challenge anyway.
I guess that's it.
Yes, that is it. Here we go for our first proper race on F1 24.
Okay, we might be at the back of the grid and it's not the best place to start, but keep your chin up and push hard. It's Formula One. Anything can happen.
You might have noticed the setup before. It was 0 wings, but we upped the front wing to 15. So that was interesting that it was a default setup. So we've gone for aggressive turn-in if the car can handle it. It will rain towards the end of the race. So we're going to go full send on mediums to see if we can last on these tires until the rain hits. 5 red lights and away we go for our first gameplay of F1 24 that we are driving. Last the first challenge in the Ferrari. Let's see if we can do this. We're going to send one up the inside of a couple of cars into turn 1. We do get left a space with the Haas of Hulkenberg on the inside. We try and go right around the outsides. You might be wondering what that blue icon is next to Perez's name or above his name on screen as we nearly run into the guy. He is one of our rivals. He is our driver ratings rival. We have to beat Sergio Perez to, I think, 92 driver rating by the end of the season to win that rivalry. So that's the reasoning for the blue icon next to his name. Now, let's talk about something important. That is the handling. At this current stage, I do not like the handling of F1 24. And you're going to see an example of this straight away into turn 1. We go for a big dive bomb. We lose the back end a little bit, and we try to correct with the steering, but the steering was so janky. The steering is so sensitive on this here's game. There's so much initial bite that when you get into a slide and try and correct it, it looks so bad. It feels just as bad as it looks. Bit of overtake there on the start-finish straight, getting past the Williams. Overtake is very, very OP on this here's game, but to counteract that, when you go into overtake, you lose so much battery. It is absolutely crazy. Tire temperatures also quite warm on the left-hand side, the working side of the car. We'll get into all these things in greater detail in future videos, so make sure you subscribe for that. But I only have 20 minutes, so I can't go into too much detail about any one thing. But just know, I do not like the handling this year, and I will talk about it in a future video. Back to this video. Overtake. I'm talking about the ERS mode. Have a look at this. This is going to be crazy. We are P6 at the start of this straight. We're now going to go up into overtake and see if we can overtake every single car on this straight. A bit of slipstream. We do get DRS, but overtake is so potent on F1 24. We're in overtake, but the AI aren't. Straight up the insides and into the lead very briefly at the first chicane. That is the power of the ERS modes on F1 24. So much so to the point that I don't think slipstream matters as much, and I especially think that DRS does not matter as much on this year's game. Now, here's why this is a good thing. This is a good thing because there are too many DRS trains in competitive league racing. Oh dear.
Safety car deployed. Stay positive.
I'll try and stay positive, but I think you're talking about the Delta. There's going to be less DRS trains now because ERS is what matters the most. Now, here's our first problem in this race. The pit lane is literally blocked. I feel like they've made some changes to the pit lane length in Monza. There's now smaller gaps between all of the pit gantries for all the teams. And so everyone was double stacking and we got absolutely stuck behind everyone. So much so that I think it probably would have been better if I just carried on for an extra lap with no wing. And to add insult to injury, we have a pit stop error with the front wing. That was a little bit slow to go on.
Okay, Carlos, let's try and climb up the order if we can. We're setting you a new target. Push, push.
Also new for this year are mid-race targets. So I like that. Nice little addition to give you some extra motivation in the race when there's some lull points. And we achieved the target.
Weather's turning. We think it's time to box now.
Man, this race was mental. This race is actually mental. There's so much going on in this one. I got called in to come in for intermediate tires. Probably a little bit earlier than what I would have expected. I did go for the undercut. I was at the back. I wanted to try something different. But the AI just never boxed for dry tires. And what made this worse is that my intermediate tires were overheating right from the start. Tire wear as well was pretty crazy. And you will see that even on dry tires in F1 24. It's affected by tire temperatures, but also which tires get the most load. So look out for that. Tire wear is going to be very interesting this year. We put on a new set of inters. We decided to let the leaders catch us, and then I wanted to try and race Hamilton and re-overtake him. He's sliding around a lot, but he wasn't losing as much time as what he should have. In the end, he did go on to win the race, so GG's to Hamilton. Imagine winning at Monza, but just the wrong year. A year too early. Imagine if Hamilton can win at Monza in 2025. That would be incredible. Speaking of winners, we did have Fernando Alonso win back-to-back races at the latter end of this season.
And that's 2 wins in a row now.
This is our target. We are currently failing our current objective of being 94 rated for the season. So what we have to do here to basically, guarantee our survival is to lower our contract target for our driver rating. It's currently, we have to be 94. We're going to lower it to 91. And that should mean we hopefully have a better chance of staying with Ferrari. As you can see by the yellow line, we're just above that. So we'll see if we manage to stay on target. But with the way that we're simulating every race, I don't think we're going to retain our seat. And yeah, I think you'll see evidence of that in a second. We sim to the end of the season, and you can see the performances of Ferrari have really dropped off by the end of the season. Leclerc only managing 4th in the standings, but most races by the end, he was fighting to get in the points. So, as Carlos Sainz, I had no chance of performing with the car performance kind of dwindling. Now, that all came because we stopped doing Friday practice programs halfway through the season, and because of that, the car performance suffered. I was still upgrading the car, but I was just getting less resource points every week. So Ferrari ended up in the muds. We ended up in the muds as we got fired from Ferrari. Even with our renegotiated contract target for this season, we still managed to fall below Ferrari's expectations. And that is partly down to the lack of car development in the second half of the season. So there we go. Fired from Ferrari in our first season of F1 24 career modes. And these are the teams in red that do not want to sign with us. Red Bull, a team we were talking to all season, don't want to sign with us. We spoke to Christian Horner. They were interested. I was happy. They were happy. But talks didn't materialize into a contract. Now, I'm choosing a team here, and I'm making the same mistakes of going for max target rating. What's the worst that could happen? This has been Season 1 of Career Modes. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.